I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, June the 3rd, brought to you in part by Macrocin by Bimeda. Macrocin is a bold, straight shooting telithromycin injection, basically a generic Draxin that does what it's supposed to do for you, for your cattle, and most importantly for your bottom line. For more information, go to macrocin.com. Also, Joplin Regional Stockyards, huge sale in Joplin here on Monday. They start sorting in the middle of the night. They're going to start selling at 4 a.m. guys. It gets hot late in the day this time of year in southwest Missouri. They're going to start at 4 a.m. I mean, they're going to be on big strings by 5:30 or 6, easy. They're expecting 13,500 head. Mark Harmon was trolling the parking lot on Sunday, sending me videos and pictures. I mean, the pots were just lined up like goosenecks on a good day at any other sale barn. But included in that 13,500 is at least 70 straight loads of yearlings. Very impressive there at Joplin Regional Stockyards. They're going to have a primetime livestock video this Thursday at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. If you've got cattle to consign, bring them to the sale barn, get them on the video, however you need to do it, but Joplin is a good place to market your cattle, guys. And June is historically slow when we're talking about cattle marketing. This year, is it going to be that way? I don't know. Apparently not. We're in June. Joplin's expecting 13,500 here on Monday. But most of your other big high volume sales are not expecting too big of a run. I think they were looking at maybe 6,500 in Oklahoma City. I'm not sure about some of the other places, but typically June is about your slowest month. Now we've often said July, but it's getting more late July. And some people that like to take their cattle off the major grazing areas like to take them right to the sale. So maybe sometimes in mid to late July we get some bigger runs of green grass yearlings coming off the Flint Hills and the Osage and places like that. But June is always kind of slow. A lot of sale barns are looking for excuses to be closed in June and July. Of course, 4th of July holiday is always a good time to be closed, but a lot of your Kansas sale barns are taking multiple weeks off here starting this month in June. You know, it's just it takes a lot of money to get the help there, get everything rolling if you're not going to have too big of a run. But gosh, it's very tempting to sell any class of cattle right now. I mean, any class. And if you're not under some kind of a lease agreement there in a major grazing area, and especially if it's your grass, or if you've got it at least year-round, boy, it's tempting to pull those cattle off there and sell them. And I think that's what we're seeing happen, especially in those fescue areas in southwest Missouri around Joplin. They're always assembling cattle, putting them on that fescue, and looking for an opportunity to sell them. Doesn't hurt their feelings at all to pull those cattle off there, let that grass grow up a little bit, clip it, and then turn back out on it again. It doesn't bother them at all to do that. But every single class of cattle is at all-time record highs, including cows and bulls. You know, we've been seeing record high prices on bulls. Bulls selling up to and over $2 a pound. We haven't seen our best fat cattle bring that yet, hardly anywhere. But, you know, it's kind of nice to have those sale barns open whenever you make your decision to bring your cattle into town. But going to have a big special in Beaver, Oklahoma on June the 18th. It's a feeder flash beaver clash. We've done that the last 2 or 3 years, guys. There's going to be a big run of yearlings there. Now, where are those cattle coming off? We've still got cattle coming off graze out wheat. This is one of the longest times I can remember that cattle have been able to stay out on graze out wheat. Most people are planting beardless graze out or wheat now, and so it doesn't bother the cattle. It might get a little tough on them, but they still like it and they're still eating it. and cattle have never gained as much on graze out wheat as they have this year. Ever. Everybody you talk to. I mean, cattle or steers that mostly come off weighing 8 or weighing 9 or better. It's just amazing. And you look, and we've talked about that the last several weeks, is we're just in a normal year for a change. Everybody says, what's normal? Well, we don't have hardly any spots in a major way that are in a severe drought. So that's awfully nice when you get into those places. Now, you've seen that there's grass everywhere, and some of these grazers have fallen victim to that green grass. They've blown their brains out on these big stockers, bigger stockers than they've ever bought, more dollars per head than they've ever bought. And like the old saying goes, that's one of the 3 things that can lead to the demise of a cattleman is green grass, a whiskey glass, and a woman's backside. But it's got some guys stretched out there pretty far this year. And then last week, from the middle to the latter part of the week, we saw our strike prices go away on our out front feeder futures, which what guys grab a hold of for their LRPs. But I don't know, we're in a little bit of tumultuous times. I think people may be a little bit too optimistic on what our early Monday high volume sales are going to be. Of course, your Monday sales missed out on the big jump last week because they were closed on Memorial Day. So that's another reason we have a big Monday here. But the shine is off the market that we saw to start the week last week on Tuesday when we saw those huge prices there. They were starting to wane off a little bit by the time we got to Thursday, and then didn't have too many sales at all late last week or over the weekend. But I want to talk about a sale that we had in Palmyra, Missouri. It was F&T livestock market there in Palmyra, Missouri. It was the Show Me Select heifer sale that's done with help from the Missouri Department of Agriculture and the University of Missouri. It's a premium type replacement heifer sale there, and they had DVAuction bidding. Helped make the sale there. Had a really good run there and had some good quality and some high prices. The heifers averaged $735 per head more than last year. That gives you a good perspective like that. And the top heifers they sold in the sale brought $39.50 per head. Let's talk about your board for last week. June live cattle futures, of course, Monday was closed. Tuesday was up 85 cents, and then they pulled the plug out. Wednesday down 120, Thursday down 80, Friday down $1, with June live cattle ending the week at 181.55. As far as we know, the last established market negotiated out of the 5 area was 190.12, and your June live cattle ended the week at 181.55. So we know, and we've heard, and we've talked about live cattle futures. CME live cattle futures have nothing to do, and the people that trade them don't look at anything fundamentally or even cash. Why the hell does cash look at it? I have no idea. And we ended up selling fats a little bit cheaper there. Don't really know how because it was kind of scattered. But why those, well, I guess they're looking at the basis, but still, when you're ahead of the market, you've got all the leverage in your hand. Why you let that board influence you to puke fats lower when you're in the driver's seat? I have no idea. But June live cattle ended the week at 181.55, down 215. August ended the week at 178.45, down 267. August feeder cattle, Monday was a holiday, of course. Tuesday was up 437. Wednesday they took it all back, but 2 cents, down 435. Thursday was down $1.17, and Friday down 267. Told you guys they're just going to jack with that feeder futures there because we got 2.5 months till it even has to get close to anything that has anything to do with feeder steers. But August feeder cattle ended the week at 256.40. That was down 382 for the week. September ended the week down 363 at 258.12. Your July corn ended the week at 446 and a quarter, down 18 and a half. Yeah, it was no party for the grains either, guys. It was just all your ag commodities down hard last week. Beans ended the week at 12.05, down 43 cents a bushel for the week. Kansas City hard red winter wheat ended the week at 7.08 and three quarters, down 12 and a half. But it's tough there on your futures, and I always tell you how frustrated I am with your cattle futures. You know, the last established weighted average we had, like I said, was an all-time record at 190.12. That was higher than any of our fat cattle futures are trading that are posted on the board. The highest is April at 189.45. We know how desperately tight our numbers of a market-ready cattle. We know how desperately tight our numbers of feeder cattle have been, and they're just going to keep getting tighter, guys. But still, we're not seeing your futures market show what the market's capable of. And the people that are setting the market, the few that trade in a negotiated manner, are paying too much attention to the board. Look at your fat cattle trade last week. Up through Thursday, they had only sold 14,900 in the entire 5-area feeding region. Your live sales range from 183 to 193. That's steady to $4 lower. Your weighted average up through Thursday was 187.42. It's going to be quite a bit better than that because we did sell a lot of cattle in the northern plains on Friday. So that is going to raise that weighted average a bunch. But still, up through Thursday, your weighted average was down around $2.50. Dress sales ranged from $2.98 to $3.04, $1 to $2 lower. And your weighted average on dress steers was $300.86. That was down about $2.50. That's going to come up some too. As a whole, the northern plains late last week were selling cattle from 188 to 193, and that's steady to lower. Your dress sales mostly 301. That's steady to $1 lower. Southern plains sold mostly at 186. That's $1 lower. Friday, we did have some significant trade, especially in the northern plains. Iowa sold 7,900 on Friday, but only 9,400 for the week. That's up through 2 o'clock on Friday. Typically, we see Iowa sell about 20,000 head negotiated, but I don't think they've got them ready, guys. They didn't sell that many the previous week, didn't sell that many last week. I don't think they've got that many cattle ready in Iowa, and those are the best fat cattle that we have in this country. And live sales in Iowa on Friday was 188 to 193. Dress sales from 298 to 304. Nebraska sold 15,400. They're trying to make up the difference in Iowa, but still only 19,300 in Nebraska on Friday. I think there's going to be even more trade that came in after the 2 o'clock deadline late last week, so it'll be interesting to see what the total roundup is for the week. Give you that on our next visit. But in Nebraska on Friday, they sold it from 190 to 193, and dressed from 301 all the way up to 309. That was just a deal, but about 304 would be the realistic top there. Kansas sold 5,100 on Friday, 10,000 for the week. Mostly 186, but we're still seeing that split market there. In northern Kansas, they sold some as high as 190 and 301 dressed. Texas didn't sell a hoof up through 2 o'clock on Friday, and only 4,700 head for the week, but the few sales that they did have were mostly at 186 last Thursday. Box beef cutout values, your weighted average for the whole week last week on choice cuts was $313.24. That was up $1.61 compared to the previous week's weighted average. And your late Friday sales on choice cuts was just about that, just about steady with the weighted average. Your select weighted average all of last week was 302.50 3, still staying over the $3 level there. That was up 221 compared to the weighted average in the previous week. Your late Friday sales were about 80 cents off of that, but still well over 301.5. Choice select spread on the weighted average was $10.71. That's based on cuts, grinds, and trimmings of 521 loads. Your slaughter last week come out to be 540,000, which is disappointing, but you got to remember we didn't have the Monday. That 540,000 was 28,000 less than the same week a year ago, but we had a 43,000 head Saturday. That's what we could be doing, guys. They want to work on Saturday. If your packers would let the workers work, that's what they can do, is 40 to 50,000 head on a Saturday, but that was just making up for the Monday. We'll see how this week goes. Talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DVAuction ended the week at 248.76. That was down 316 for the week on feeder steers there, averaging 800 pounds, weighing from 700 to 899. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index was 248.24. Your trends in your sale barns last week on cash feeders. Feeder steers ended the week steady to $3 lower. I know there were gangbusters on Tuesday, but your later week sales, the trends from the week before were actually lower. But feeder heifers were higher, $1 to $5 higher. Everybody's looking at the total cost per head. It scares the hell out of them when they look at it, but it looks a little bit better on heifers. Plus you're getting some competition from some people that would like to buy some replacement heifers, so the heifers were a little higher on the big feeders. Calves sold steady in a light test last week, and we didn't see that many of our bigger stockers selling last week. We've just about sold all of those. Excuse me. Big sales late last week and over the weekend. Individual quotes. How about Fort Scott Livestock Market in Fort Scott, Kansas? DVAuction broadcaster sells 122 steers on Saturday, weighed 930 at 240. How about Wahoo Livestock sales, Wahoo, Nebraska? DVAuction broadcaster sells 65 steers, weigh 840 pounds at 258.50. How about my buddy Tato Medina Wallace down there at Santa Teresa Livestock Auction, Santa Teresa, New Mexico, right on the border? DVAuction broadcaster, he sells 57 Mexican steers coming this way, weigh 580 pounds at 278. How about Edina Livestock? Edina, Missouri, another DVAuction broadcaster, sell 57 steers, weigh 922 at 243.75. If you'd like to be a DVAuction broadcaster, or you just want to add it to the broadcasting you already have, it's pretty reasonable, guys. Just get a hold of us. We'll hook you up. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere late last week or over the weekend, your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, was out of Bluegrass Livestock and or Bluegrass Stockyards in Richmond, Kentucky. I mean, just a block off the main square. They sell 50 steers, weigh 955, Richmond, Kentucky, at 238.70. And that's your feeder flash for Monday.